So I want to kind of share what's happened to me over the past few weeks. Um, just a brief background. Um, I did my very first DMT experience in, I don't know, 2 months ago. And in that experience, um, it was intense. I've never experienced anything like that in my life. I'm so glad I did it. I don't regret it, but it did change my life. Um, Inside of the experience, I was shown like my life in a way that I've never seen before. It was from unsugar-coated, just pure truth perspective. And it was like everything was laid out in front of me, and I could hone in on certain parts. And I didn't do this intentionally, but I honed in and I could see just like past lives. I could see my current life and how the choices that I make daily are influenced by the life experience I've had in this life and previous lives. And it's one thing to know that conceptually, but to experience it is something completely different. It really opened my mind. I thought I was open-minded before, but in DMT really opened my mind. And then it showed me something that I wasn't quite ready for. It showed me that, like, I've always known that, I have like this untapped potential. I think we all know that. And I've just kind of been coasting through life, not really doing the work required to tap into that and become that. And so when I saw this version of myself that is everything I want in this life, it's like the person that I want to be and am meant to be. And I saw that. I also saw that the path I'm currently on, it either doesn't lead there or it takes too long to get there. And that included being in my marriage. And let me explain that. Being in my marriage, it had nothing to do with my partner, my wife. It had everything to do with me not putting in the work. Because in relationships, I've been in relationships since I was 16. I'm 36, and I'm a giver, and I put other people's needs before mine to the point where I didn't even know my own needs. I was just coasting. And I was content to do that because my life wasn't bad. My life was good. It could have been better, but it was good. So yeah, it showed me that if I wanted like the best version of myself, I was going to have to drastically change the path I was on. And that was really hard for me to accept because, like I said, my wife and I, we've been together 7 years, married for 3 going on 4 of those years, and we had been making plans to move overseas to another country. We just moved, and things, like I said, things between us weren't bad. And so I really kind of repressed that part of what was shown to me, because I wasn't ready for that. That was too much. I mean, the whole experience was a lot, but that was too much. It's like I saw something that I couldn't unsee, that would change my life more than I was ready for it to change. I went into the NNDMT experience looking for an experience, not knowing that it would be so like profound and so life altering, and that it would change the way I see the world. It is definitely not something I recommend people do recreationally. I know people do to some degree. For me, it was very much a spiritual tool and catalyst. After 4 weeks, I made the decision to get separated from my wife. I tried my best to explain why I felt like I needed to take time and take space. I was being led, I was being guided, and I was following that. There's really no other reason. I knew what my life looked like if I continued in my marriage, and I continued on that path of not knowing myself. What I didn't know is what my life would be like if I did a complete 180 and went on this whole journey of self-discovery. I had no idea what that looked like. That was walking into the unknown, jumping into the abyss. And since the moment I left, my life has never been the same. And it's impossible for it to go back to being what it was. So I ended up moving to Atlanta, and I'm staying at an Airbnb. And for the first 2 weeks, like, I didn't do much, but I knew that like something was gonna happen. Like, I had taken that risk and I left. I knew that I was on the journey, and I trusted that, even though nothing was really happening. I was really just processing and getting used to being on my own, basically for the first time. And I was very surprised, because I thought when I left, it would be really hard for me to be on my own, just being alone, when just about every day for the past 70 years, we've shared everything, but I was okay. I definitely had some rough moments. I had a rough night 2 days after I got there, and I realized, I still hadn't processed leaving. That wasn't easy. So yeah. So after I'd been in Atlanta for about 2 weeks, it came to my attention that there was going to be a Bufo ceremony taking place like 2 hours from where I was. And if you don't know anything about Bufo or the toad medicine, I'm going to encourage you to look into that. do some research. It's the most powerful psychedelic on the planet. After experiencing it, I hesitate to even call it a psychedelic. And maybe that's because my definition of psychedelic can also be recreational. This is a medicine at its core. There is no, I don't think there's a medicine as powerful as this on this planet. I thought I had some idea going into my very first ceremony. Like, I thought I knew what to expect. Then again, I felt that same way about NN-DMT, and like I said, I had no idea. Like, these experiences can't really be put into words. The NN-DMT experience, I was able to kind of articulate what I got out of it. And I guess maybe that's the same for all the experiences, but it takes time, and you have to like integrate these tools and these medicines. Anyway, so at my first ceremony, because I ended up doing 2 ceremonies that weekend. I did one on Saturday and I did one on Monday. The one on Saturday I recorded. I didn't record the one on Monday. I wish I had. But I'll share that one too. But in the first ceremony, there were 4 people that went before me. And this was a camping trip. I'm not a camper. I hate camping. Or at least I thought I did. I don't know if I go out of my way to do it again, but the experience ended up being awesome. It got me out of my comfort zone. And being out in nature, like nothing about that is regrettable. So we did the ceremony outside in this very beautiful kind of bowl-shaped concave area in like the woods, and they had this sound gong set up. It was huge. There were sound bowls, there were flutes, there were all kinds of instruments surrounding what's called the launch pad. And the launch pad is where the participant goes up and the administrator of the medicine, gives the medicine to them. And there were other people who were participating, and some who, were just there in support and solidarity that were kind of sitting around behind, in front of like the whole setup. And so, like I said, I was the 5th person to go. And after seeing people's responses and that went before me, they kind of varied. The first guy, he kind of, it was kind of shocking, his reaction, and I felt like his physical reaction, and I felt like, I don't know if this is, I knew it was something, I knew it was what I needed to do, but I think his reaction kind of, I don't know, it jolted me. Definitely jolted me a little bit. Out of thinking it was like, gonna be like smooth sailing for everyone. The other 3 people after him, theirs were all pretty good. They were chill, quiet, healing. I think just unexpected, astonishing for them. So when I went, I read the prayer, and I'm not a crier. I know I have or had emotional blockages, so like I'm not a crier, but when I feel like when everyone was reading that prayer, you can't help but to cry, because it speaks to you. It speaks to this part of you that is the reason why you were even there in the first place. And so after I was done reading the prayer, he explained to me how to breathe in the medicine, and he put the pipe, like a crack pipe actually, he put it to my mouth, and I started to breathe in, and I'm breathing. He tells me, slow down, slow down, slow down. I'll slow down my breathing, and then I can't take it anymore, or at least I don't think I can. He pulls it away, and both him and his wife, who also is part of the ceremony, assisting and helping and supporting, they both take a little bit of the medicine, and then he gives the rest to me. And this happens in like 3 seconds. So it's like I'm holding it in, and he comes back around, and he's like, take a little more, take more. And I take in a little more. And actually that could have happened in my second ceremony and not my first. But anyways, and then it's like my eyes get big, and I go, like I just let out this exhale. And by the time you exhale, you are gone on this medicine. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's really not explainable, but it's like the change that happens like so quickly. And I did not expect what happened to me. I didn't expect to be taken like that, it was the most powerful, intense experience of my life. Oh, way more so than in DMT. Way more intense than that. And for me, that had been intense. Yeah. And I can't even describe what was happening to me. I wish I could. I wish there were words for that, but there just aren't any. But a loose interpretation of what happened to me, it was like everything that didn't serve me, everything I'd been holding on to my whole life, was stripped out of me. It was just coming out of me. And I, physically, what that looked like, it looked like me, like yelling. Apparently I'm a yeller. And me yelling, it's pushing out these energies that have just been attached to me, that have like just been this weight that I've been carrying around my whole life. It was intense. I don't even want to call it an exorcism, because, just that brings about, it wasn't a religious experience at all. It was spiritual. It was about me. It was about what was inside of me that I knew was there, but I didn't know how to get to remove it. I didn't know how to let go. Because I guess we hold on to that stuff we think that we're protecting ourselves. I mean, I don't really know, but all I know is all of that needed to come out of me. And I didn't go into the ceremony expecting that. I honestly didn't know what I would get out of this ceremony, but I knew I would get healing, because that's what I've been searching for. And like, I got it out of me, and I was just like, let it out, let it go. Now, I'm not a loud person, but I was really loud. You know, it was coming out of me. Like, it felt so good to like release that. And as I start coming back around, I just kept saying over and over again, what the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck was that? All of that was inside of me. Like, I just could not believe what I had just got out of me. Like, what I had just pushed out, what I had just let go of. It's all of that was inside of me the whole time. Like, I've been carrying so much. And I didn't even know how much I was carrying. And yeah, that was a lot. That was like a miracle. And then I rolled over, you know, because it was hitting me just how much I just let go of. And I'm sobbing. Like, I don't care about the people around me, but I am sobbing just because, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just got that out of me. That's been in me the whole time. I've just been carrying that. And I felt so free. I felt so free. I just kept saying, I feel so free. It's like I could breathe. And everyone around was so supportive, you know. They're just encouraged me. They're like, yes, just let it go. Just let it go. It doesn't serve you anymore. It's not yours. You know, let it return where it came from. Just let it out. And I am letting it out. And it is the best feeling of freedom that I have ever felt. It's like I've been looking for freedom and I found it. I've been looking for healing and I found it in this toad medicine. And like, watching me have that ceremony, if you know me, it's transformational, you know. It's transformative, and you can't help but to be impacted by the change you see in me. And it's not like you let all of it out and then like you come back to and it comes back. No, like, it's gone. Like, you are different. You are a different person after you go through this experience. So yeah, that was my first experience. Pretty intense. If you know me, you should check out the video. Because like I said, I think the video says it all, even though the video only shows like the physical part of what's happening. The real work is being done inside of me. And unfortunately, that's something that can't be put into words. Like, I can't even describe what was happening to me or the intensity of it. Yeah. But that was the first ceremony, and after I was done, I knew that I needed to do it again, because while I had gotten a lot out of me, I knew there was still more. I knew there was still more in me. I didn't know how much more. I just knew there was more. And I also knew that there was something that I came there for that I hadn't received yet. And I only knew this instinctually. I only knew this because like I've been listening to myself. Following I've been following my guidance system, which is new to me. And I said, if I get the opportunity to do a second ceremony, I will. Now, most people would not do a second ceremony just because that first one is enough. It's so intense. Like, I don't think anybody like just jumps back in that saddle. But this was an opportunity. I was here, and I knew that that the ministers of this medicine, that this was their last ceremony on the East Coast for a while. They were about to relocate to the West Coast, so I didn't know how I would find another opportunity to do it. I asked them when their next ceremony was. I figured I'd just fly there, and I was told, well, if you want to do it again on Monday, you can. And so I worked out all the details and stuck around camping an extra night. And a lot of things came up for me after the first ceremony. I had that night, and I also had the whole next day to process through some things. And one thing that came up for me that was pretty big was just like my lack of trust. I'm not gonna go too deeply into that, but yeah, it really was about a lack of trust, and then just trying to understand why I didn't trust, and realizing it was because I didn't feel safe. And then processing through, well, why don't I feel safe? No one here has done anything to me. And it had to do with the beliefs and the story, the narrative that I'd been telling myself for a long time. And that narrative was a way that my ego was protecting me. And it said, you're not safe with these people. You can't trust them. You know why. You know the stories. Quick background, like I was the only African American. Well, there was one other African American woman there. She left on Sunday, but I was the only African American of her and I were the only African Americans out of over 30 people there. And so, I kind of felt out of place. So after processing through that, I knew that was an issue, because while I have the medicine being administered to me, and yes, it's like the medicine is what's important. It's like I was telling myself, does it matter who's holding the medicine if the medicine is what saves your life? And that was kind of like what I kept telling myself, but that didn't erase the fact that I didn't trust the people here. On some level, I didn't trust them, even though they hadn't done anything to me. They're great people. So for my second ceremony, I went into it with the intention to finish healing whatever else needed to be healed inside of me. But I also wanted to experience love, just like pure love. I'd seen some experiences there, and I said, yeah, I want that, because you know how they say love is the only thing that matters? Well, I figured, why not? If I'm going to go into this experience and you can get anything out of it, why wouldn't I want to experience the only thing that matters, to put everything else in perspective? So that's what I asked for. And at the second ceremony, read the prayer, and the medicine was given to me. And I feel like the medicine this time, maybe I had more of it. It was a higher dose. mean, I'm not sure. But just like the first time, the medicine took me like so fast. So fast. And since this one wasn't recorded, I don't really have like a lot of reference for what happened to me physically, and I can't even put into words what happened to me during the experience. But what I can explain is like what happened coming out of the experience. Also going into the experience, someone told me that I said aloud, I am God, I am everything, I am all that is. So that's interesting. And so I went through the experience, and it was a lot. It was a lot. It was like peeling back onion layers of my psyche. It was intense. And it all had to do with like the stories and the narratives I've been telling myself, and like my lack of trust, and understanding that the only thing that separates me from just pure love is the separation I put between me and everything else. The narratives, the stories I've been telling myself, that's the only thing that separates me. And to experience this was, to live through this was unbelievable. When you're coming out of the experience, you look around and you see everything for the first time. The analogy I heard prior to doing Bufo, that after experiencing it once, twice, like I know it's the perfect analogy. It's like being born. You are being born again. You are being rebirthed. You come out of this experience brand new, clean. Your energy bodies are like all that shit that didn't serve you, like that is gone. You just feel freer and lighter. You're different. It's more than that. Just like you are different. And I'm looking around at the people around me, and it's like they're looking at me, and it's like they're hopeful, and they want to know, like, you know, they want to make sure I'm good, you know. And I'm looking at them, I'm like, I don't know if I trust them. I don't know if I should trust them, like. But part of me is like, you just have to let go. You know, the theme of the whole weekend, the theme of Bufo is letting go. And I let go. I let go enough to experience what it would be like to live in a world where I didn't keep myself separate from anything or anyone based on race, religion, just anything. And I felt the most intense love that I have ever felt in my entire life. I've never felt love like that before. This love was different. This wasn't, you know, I love you, you're my girl, love. This is what our experiences should be. Like, this is what our life experience should be. It's just living in love. Like that felt like heaven. That was heaven. In that moment, I experienced pure bliss. It was heaven. And everyone around me, they were looking at me, and they were like, yes, that's it. You get it. Yes. It's just love. That's it. Yes, it's just love. And I got it. And I I broke down. I lost my shit because it was like, I was saying, oh my gosh, I didn't trust you guys. I didn't trust, I couldn't let go. And it was just really intense. And I'm sobbing and I'm crying. And people come around me and they're rubbing my back. And it feels like I've never felt love like that before. It was the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced in my entire life. To share in that moment with people who get it, who got it. And it's like they were just waiting for me to get it. And then I got it. And we were just like all on the same, we were just all one. And we were just like rejoicing. It was like, it was beautiful. And then like I started to feel kind of torn, because it's like, do I want to go back? Like, I don't think I can live like this. I don't think I can look at the world like out of just pure love. Like, we don't exist like that. What kind of existence is that? Like, I feel like I would never, like, while that life, I can't, it's the unknown. Like, I don't know what it would be like to come back to the quote unquote real world and just live in pure love. That seemed like I would be like brainwashing myself with love. And right now I'm thinking, and it's probably my ego, like, what's wrong with that? But to do that meant losing so much of myself that I felt I still needed to hold on to, that I felt was me. So I was still attached to some of those narratives. And I could not let go all the way. It's like I kept this cord, this tether to my before reality, just a little bit, just enough that it made me feel a little grounded, because I felt to let go completely and get lost in love. Like, I felt like I would just float away and just like I'd never come down to earth. Like, I'd be like weird, And, I can say in hindsight that, well, I can't say I wish I'd let go completely, because in that moment I had that choice and I wasn't ready to let go all the way. I'd done a lot of work already that weekend, and I still held on to this little bit of the before me. I felt like so that I could come back to reality and integrate what I'd learned, but still have a piece of me. I know there's a couple of different ways of looking at that, and this is just one. What would my life be like right now had I lost myself completely in love? Like, I don't know. Maybe I would be that version of myself that I foresaw in my first ever NNDMT trip, which I don't know what that looked like, but I just remember in the experience knowing that's the me I want to be. So yeah, there's that. But with this experience, you can't not be changed by it. So even in that, like, it was the best experience. Like, it took me like a while to start to feel grounded again, because I was just really living off that feeling of love that was still with me. I felt it, like I tapped into it, I'd become it. And I knew, once again, not conceptually, but I knew that love was already in me. Like, that's inside of me, that is me. The only thing that keeps me from feeling like that all the time is the separation I put up, because of beliefs that don't serve me, because of beliefs my ego feels protects me and keeps me safe. So obviously I still have work that needs to be done in that department. And I kind of knew that leaving, but I also knew that I got exactly what I needed, like as much as I could get that weekend. Will I do another Bufo ceremony? Yes. When? I don't know. Not anytime soon. Because what I feel like wasn't communicated very well, but is really, really, really important, probably the most important thing that should be made clear, is after your experience with Bufo, the medicine stays with you. So that was said. They said, the medicine's going to stay with you. It's going to keep working on you. But I didn't understand what they meant by that. So what ended up happening is when I got back to Atlanta, that first night, in the middle of the night, I got woken up by that intense love feeling. It was like, God is love, love is God. Like, God, love woke me up. It woke me all the way up. And I'm sitting there just in that feeling, not knowing, like being overwhelmed by it, not knowing like what to do with it or about it. And then I start to get maybe a little scared, just because it was intense. And of course, I guess fear and love, they can't coexist. So as my fear starts to grow a little, the feeling of love starts to fade. And I was just like, whoa. And now I'm up and I feel the need to journal, which is something that since I've been back, I've done every single night. Something that I couldn't bring myself to do before, like forming habits that were good for me, like meditating and journaling, were really, really difficult for me before. Like healthy habits as far as working out, hard for me to make a part of my life. I mean, now I know why. My energy bodies were all clouded with a whole bunch of shit that wasn't serving me, So that was the first night back, and I journaled, and once I journaled it out, I was able to go back to sleep. The next night, something very similar happened. It's like the medicine woke me up out of my sleep, only this time it didn't feel like pure love. It was like a flashback of going into the experience. And that was intense. And I remember saying out loud, like, what do you want from me? Like, what am I supposed to, what do you want me to do? Like, what am I missing here? You're gonna have to be clear, because I don't know why I just got woken up, But I think some part of me knew, and I started journaling and writing. And it came out, it came up, and it was something that I hadn't dealt with. And I won't go into that because that has backstory too. And I ended up dealing with it right then and letting it go and releasing it. And it was like having the experience all over again, where I'm rebirthed because I just let go of something that I've been holding on to that did not serve me. And once I let it go, I did the action that symbolized letting it go. I felt so free. I felt so good. And I was able to, after journaling, I cried it out, released it, and I was able to go to sleep. And I remember talking to a friend the next day, and I was like, man, I hope that I'm not going to get woken up out of my sleep every night. Like, that's not cool. Like, I kind of don't want that. But sure enough, the next night, I get woken up by that intense feeling of love again. And I do some more journaling. Because that seems to be the only way, like, because I'm up now. I'm up. I'm not sure why I'm being woken up, but something always comes up. Something always comes up and out of me. When I'm woken up like this. It happened again the next night, and this was last night. Only last night was really intense. It wasn't like the feeling of love that woke me up, but it was definitely the medicine. So much so that I had the taste of the medicine in my mouth. And for anyone that's ever done Bufo, like, the taste of the medicine is very distinct. It cannot be confused with anything else. And it's been days since I've done Bufo, but when I say that taste was in my mouth, it was in my mouth, and I felt like what the fuck is happening? And it started to become like this kind of scary situation because I started to question everything. I started to think, like, Dorian, what the fuck did you just do? Like, you consume this ancient medicine. Like, is this shit gonna be fucking with you forever? Is this shit gonna, like, because I felt like I had no control. It's like, is this gonna be like, did I fuck up that severely that, like, I have, like, given over control of my life to some force that I don't even know? So my thoughts definitely started to go kind of dark, into like a trap, into this like abyss that it's inescapable. And that was not a good feeling, because to follow that train of thought, you are helplessly lost in fear, and it feels eternal. There's no medicine to free you from this. You can't take Advil to free you of like some of this medicine that has, like, that you've consumed, that is this intense and this powerful. Like, there's nothing on the planet to free you from this. And that started to scare me. And I tried to kind of talk my way out of it and tell myself, Dorian, just let it go. Let it go. Just breathe. You know, it's all about love. You know, I'm telling myself this, but I'm not really like feeling it. I'm just trying to like shift this feeling that I have. And it's not really working. I get up, I turn the light on, and I just kind of like lay across the bed. I can't even journal yet because that feeling is still intense. That medicine taste is still in my mouth. I feel like I'm about to be swept away any second. I feel like I'm losing my mind. I feel like I need help. I need to call someone. Like, but I know nobody can help me with this. Like, if anything, I just scare people. I wanted to call my wife, but I know she was in no place to hear like anything I had to say, or to be there for me and hold space for me, because I left her. So I understood that, like, I was on my own, and I had to figure out how to process through this fear by myself. And I closed my eyes, and I was meditating, and I just started focusing on my breathing, and I started kind of doing like this kind of chanting in my head, kind of like I'd heard the shaman do during ceremony, and imagine like the sound of like the rattles that they use, and it was calming me down. It was bringing me back. It was grounding me. That feeling was dissipating. And it's like, okay. And then once I felt like, all right, I'm okay, you know, I'm breathing, then I started journaling and letting it out. And what I realized, because this was so different from the other experiences or the other intense feelings that woke me up. So I didn't understand it. Like, it's like, why would I be woken up with fear? Like, well, first of all, that fear was already inside of me, you know? And it was coming, it came up. It came up for me, and this was my opportunity to work through it, to process through it alone, like to get through my fear by myself. It's like the medicine was showing me, you can do this. Like, you can heal yourself. You can let go, because fear is a thing for me. Like, no one likes to feel fear, but fear doesn't go anywhere. It's like it was showing me fear is always going to be a part of you. It's going to be a part of a life, but you have to develop the tools to, like, the medicine doesn't take away fear. I think it lessens the fear to a significant degree, because you're letting go of so much, like, shit you've been telling yourself that just isn't true. But fear is going to be there. It's a part of us. It's a part of the mind. So it was giving me this opportunity to learn how to work through my fear, how to breathe through my fear, how to meditate through my fear, which is something I've been sucking at. Like, I'm not good at meditating. I don't like meditating. Well, I haven't liked it because, I don't know, just sitting there, like, it's been a struggle for me. But since I've been back, I've gotten a lot better at it. You know, just sitting, being still, because my mind is so much more quiet than it was before. Anyway, so that was my experience last night. And after I got that out and journaled, I felt good. I started to get sleepy again. And I went to sleep. And I woke up a few hours later, and I felt so amazing. I felt glorious. I felt like this was the best body to be in. Like, I felt so good. It was awesome. Awesome the way I felt. It was so awesome. It was like everything I experienced was worth it. It's like, then as I reflected on the experience I had, it was like I was grateful for it because it taught me something. It showed me something. And that's what these plant medicines are. They are about showing us and teaching us these lessons and these tools that it would take like a lifetime to learn. Like, you know, like, and not just a lifetime to learn, but maybe not a lifetime to learn, but sometimes, you know, we end up getting stuck in a cycle where we just keep repeating the same lessons over and over, and we're not learning from it. And for me, that's the biggest indicator that was the biggest indicator for me that I needed help outside of myself, or so I thought, because the help is all inside of you. Because I was stuck in these loops, these cycles. I kept finding myself in the same place, having the same fights, having the same thoughts, thought patterns. You know, looking up, and my life hasn't changed much. Like, I'm not feeling like I'm growing at the rate that I want to. And yeah, having the same thoughts, feelings, and ideas, you know? So, that's pretty much my experience with Bufo, the two ceremonies that I had, and just how it is still with me. Today's Friday, and my second ceremony was on Monday. And yeah, like, it's still, the medicine is waking me up every night, and it's still teaching me, and I'm still integrating it into my life. Like, it is not over once you do Bufo. It's not a hit it and done. Like, and had I known this, I don't know if I would have done the medicine. Like, if I would have known to this degree that it stays with you. I think that, I don't know, I say that, but at the same time, I don't regret it. I don't regret any of this. I don't regret one single night. I don't regret last night. I feel grateful for it. So I guess, things obviously happen the way they're supposed to. And because of that, I did the medicine. And because of that, I'm integrating my experiences. And because of that, I'm continuing to heal. I'm continuing to grow. I feel the best I've ever felt in my entire life. Like, I feel like life can't even, the troubles that I felt were a part of life before can't even touch me. I feel untouchable by, I don't know. It's exactly what I've been looking for my whole life. It's what I've been needing. I finally found the me that was there all along, but it was just buried underneath all the shit that didn't serve me. All of the pain, all of the trauma, all the blockages. And now I'm free. And I have a couple of friends now that are super interested and want to do this medicine. And I said after my first and second ceremony, like, everybody should do this. And I really do believe that everyone should do this at least once. But, when you're ready, like, this isn't something that someone should be like forced or like convinced to do. I feel like they need to be called to do it. I think they need to know that they have healing that needs to be done. And maybe they just feel like they can't reach it. They can't do it themselves. And that's what this medicine is for. And now I'm on this spiritual journey that I could not have even imagined. Okay, I've been recording for almost an hour now, so I guess I'll end this. Thanks for listening.